Call the meeting to order at 6:02. Entertain a motion to approve the May 23rd Select Board meeting notes.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
We have Rob on if you want to get his.
Aye. Oh yeah, Rob?
Yeah, hi there.
Hello. That's approved for you?
Yes, sir. Yeah, aye for me.
Yep, okay. The next one is the May 31st Special Select Board meeting minutes. Entertain a motion to accept those.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Sure.
Okay. Any questions? If I just draw your attention, that was the meeting that we opened the bids for the fire truck. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Aye.
Okay, 4-1. All right. Additions, old business, painting center line on Dam Road, new business, road name change. Members of the public. You sleep?
No,
You have anything?
I just was wondering about the comment thing,
What?
the policy that was left off at the end of the last meeting. It was distributed and everybody was supposed to take it home and discuss it, and I just wondered if that was going to be brought up
I
tonight.
don't think it was put in the minute, no. We'll have to do it next time. All right. Do you have anything?
I want to talk about town roads.
Okay.
We've got paved and dirt roads in town, and we've got speed limits on them. The town legislative body, that's you all, the select board, approves and's got responsibility for speed limits. Sometimes there's more to it than just saying it's a dirt road, it's going to be 35 miles an hour. You need to know a little bit about that road and how it's used. As an example, State Forest Road, good part of it runs along the West River, and in some places there's a drop-off. It's got several blind corners, meaning that it's a short radius, narrow road, but it's got two camps on it. Those camps during the summertime have lots and lots of pedestrians, bicyclists, people with strollers. There's all kinds of activities outside those camps. In addition to which, you got the Scott Bridge. All kinds of bicyclists come across the Scott Bridge. There are times when cars park at the Scott Bridge and it's packed.
I think we get your point. Let's move along. We understand that we're the legislative body. We understand that we control speed limits. When we talked about this thing before, people asked for signs. They didn't ask, the people that were living down there didn't ask for a change in speed limit. You don't live down there, correct? Yes or no?
I use that road on a very regular basis.
Okay, then you know where the corners are, you know where you should slow down, you know where you should move up to the speed limit or not. What's the
Have you
point?
ever been on that road, Sherman?
Back and forth, absolutely.
So you know that you see cars with license plates from New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut. How about them? Do they know where the corners are?
What is the point?
The point is this. There's more to it than just saying it's a dirt road, it's going to be 35 miles an hour. There's a lot more to it. You've got to
Lucky it wasn't the era of 50 miles an hour.
I was on a dirt road this past weekend up near Stowe, it was 40 miles an hour. I mean, it depends on the road and how it's used, and that's the way the legislation reads if you read it. Have you read it recently?
Not since the police academy back in the 80s.
Okay.
I think I have a good purse of what the legislation and what the laws say.
Okay, so my point is this. When you drive that road, take a look at what's going on around there. If you drive it at 35 miles an hour, I'd be really surprised. Really surprised. and you got a 35-mile-an-hour sign right outside one of the campgrounds, and someone from Connecticut is going to come out of there and say, oh, I can do 35 miles an hour here. And then they're going to run into the northbound camp on the other side of the road, and what is going to happen? I hope nothing. I hope nothing.
I'm gonna go with this as hypothetical, because I'm sure there's been some fender benders on State Forest Road, but I'm pretty sure that the Ables put the camp in, I'm not positive, but probably the 70s. The government camp has been there for however long.
100 years, yeah.
How about?
Almost 100 years.
Okay, so almost 100 years. We don't have a massive problem with people crashing and smashing. Is there close calls? I'm sure. I mean, they can choose to use the road or not use the road. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. That, I mean, sometimes driving down the road, you got to assume a little bit of responsibility of how to operate your vehicle. And it's not a situation of putting signage everywhere and all this other stuff at every single time in every single occurrence of what's going on. So as far as like more signage and more signage and more signage, that's fine if you're in the city. But on a country road, I don't think it's needed. Use common sense. Use your brain.
Some people don't, there's all the signs.
Yeah, but exactly. I mean, the signs aren't going to be the problem, the people are the problem. So if the people are going to be a problem, they're going to be a problem with the signs. Without the signs, if you stay on the road or stay off the road. I mean, you're pushing, like, you're getting to the point where you're trying to imagine a problem that isn't really there because it could happen. Well, yes. I mean, pigs could fly possibly if they grew wings, but they don't. So we're not going to worry about that right now.
The next town road I want to talk about is the road on top of the dam. Back in August of last year, the highway foreman, Steve Frisk, said that he could possibly use fog line money and he would look into it. I believe there was even an estimate. There was no point at which anyone was asked, and by the way, again, that road is used more than you would think. During the winter time, there are people from Townshend, as well as Jamaica and probably other places, that walk that road because it's a paved road and it's the only thing free of ice and snow. There are a whole lot of reasons that safety comes down to how you sign things, how you put center lines in, and I'm trying to help the town here with roads. That's my point.
How many accidents have been on?
We have been asking people to apply for a road position, and here you are wanting to help the town with the roads. You want to help us with the roads, get a CDL, apply for a job, and get a job. That's going to help us the best. Not a whole bunch of signs and lines and all this other stuff.
How many collisions have been there on that road between the top of the dam and out to the intersection of State Forest Road?
I'm a town resident. You as a police officer might know the answer to that.
It's easy enough to tell. It's easy enough to tell. Zero. This year, last year, the year before, and the year before that. Zero. So you want to legislate a problem.
I wonder if you're right about that. I doubt it.
You know what? I'm kind of sick and tired of you telling me I'm lying. There you go. Knock yourself out. Next.
I think everyone should get a book of Robert's Rules as well.
We don't use Robert's rules.
Obviously.
We have not used Robert's rules to the letter in I don't know how many years because it's impractical for a board of 5 people. Impractical. You want to run the legislature? Okay.
I appreciate your doing it. Believe me, I do. Do it the right way.
Okay, is that it?
Well, speaking about boards, I do have one last thing. Information. I asked information be sent around to every person, and I understood from your email that it was going to be put in the packet. As someone who's been on many boards and committees, and chaired a few, getting a packet at the meeting is not a good way of running a meeting. You need it in advance where you can review it, understand what you're going to be looking at and voting on. That's the last thing, Shirley, thank you.
Yeah.
If we thought that there was a problem with that, this is my 9th year on the board, and I have spoke about most of the things I've had a problem with. And if I thought that that was a problem, I'd be squawking about it. Katie's been on for 2 years now. She hasn't said a word about it. Sherwood 3. Steve just got off after 5 or 6. It's been going on like this for a long time. And I think it's been long before any of us were on the board that it's been like that, Bob. So,
I'll also say, I got your communications about State Forest Road and the top of the dam. And I traveled those regularly. And when the dam center line was something that I was definitely surprised about because in my own experience, questioned how a center line could make that small section actually safer. I feel like if anything, it would make it less safe, with the exception of if you're talking about like edge lines, but an actual center line on such a narrow road seems like it wouldn't really be all that helpful, because you've also got just the way the road flows, that it goes into the single lane to cross the bridge, and even that there's not really like indications of what is happening, but it seems like a spot that hasn't really been a high safety risk, a high concern. Like, we don't really get a ton of complaints from people about like people speeding across the top dam road, or like, you know, taking over the whole roadway versus moving over. So as a select board member, I've definitely looked at the things. I even wrote up Windham Hill Road today. And I feel like
It's a point of reference. Not everyone understands depth perception. Some folks are not as good as others with mirrors. I had a CDL 50 years ago, driving a school bus. I don't plan on doing that anytime again. But your point is the fog lines. For people my age, fog lines really make a difference. There's a whole body of knowledge on this stuff, by the way.
sure, yeah, and the communication that we got about the center line was where I was like, I don't know about a center line. But again, this isn't my specialty. But I've looked at the things that you've talked about, and
I found what just a little helpful hint from my almost 30 years of driving is that when you get to a really narrow spot and you're in question of whether you can get by with another car coming, just stop. It's easier. You know, just stop and let them go by. And if they hit you, then at least you can say to the insurance company, I wasn't even moving.
I found that to be my actual experience whenever I drive over the dam. If anyone's coming, and this happened to me the other day, I take my kids to the park right there a lot. There was a bigger truck, kind of like what you bring the wood in, a dump truck or whatever. And I slowed down, and then I let him kind of go around me, and I came to a full stop, and then I went, because I wasn't totally sure that we could both be driving at the same time. I wasn't comfortable being that close to the guardrail. And I'm wondering if people that don't travel those roads that often, if there was a center line, they might be, you know, pushing themselves over kind of far, instead of using these more courteous rules that I learned in driver's ed about letting people through and things like that. That was my question after reading the information and driving the dam several times myself. I can understand the request for it, but I also think that driving it, I don't know, I'm just unsure, like feeding the sound.
The biggest issue is whether it's wide enough to have,
Right,
under
that's-
current regulations, to have a line there. And at one point, I know there was a single yellow line there. And there was double yellow line before that. Whether it was legal at that time or not, I have no idea. But anything you put up, people will find a way to go around it. You can put up speed limits for 20 miles an hour. Are they going to go 20 miles an hour? Next question, who's going to enforce it?
Well, you know, there's 85%.
Who's going to enforce it?
Exactly.
What's going to question then? Laura?
Laura, what do you got?
Well, it's pertaining to roads and speed limits and things like that, so
I thought you were putting your hand up that you drove 20 miles an hour.
I do sometimes.
Let's just get in the driveway.
So there is definitely a problem on Route 35 and the long flat stretch. Charlie and Martin
What are you
also.
talking about?
Like from the top, when you're going north towards Grafton on Route 35, you come off a little knoll and then there's this long flat stretch that goes all the way up to Deer Ridge Road out that way.
Phoenix is flat.
And people race on that, and I mean, it's crazy how fast they go. And it's posted, but my personal experience was I was driving down the road at the speed limit, getting ready to turn into my driveway, and somebody came flying up behind me and was passing me as I had my turn signal on, and was passing me and slammed on their brakes. And they were going so fast that I didn't even know they were there at first, you know. And then I stopped, they stopped, and they yelled at me to learn how to drive.
Did you yell back?
You don't want to know what I said. But yeah, I mean, people just go so crazy fast there. And I was wondering if maybe we could put something further up, you know, at the beginning of that flat stretch, like to bring their attention to the fact that it is not 50 miles an hour, it's 40 turning into 30, you know.
What? Give me an idea of what?
Excuse me?
Give me an idea of what?
Well, I know we've got those signs, those flashing speed limit signs. I don't know whether maybe we could move it further up the road or something. You know, the one in front of Judy's house?
That one's actually been purchased by the hospital. That's up there for that reason.
Okay.
And those signs cost about $3,000 a piece.
Have we received any more data on the effectiveness of the ones
I
we
was
have?
going to ask Steve for it, but I haven't, I'll
I
check
know
it.
they do register the number of cars and what speed they're going. don't
They
they?
This
register
isn't
like when you're
isolated
approaching
view.
and what you kind of slowed down to. Like the
Yeah.
data we got was
Yeah.
like, oh, they were going 50 and then they slowed down to 30, or most of the cars were going 70s, you know, for the ones on Route 30. That was the information we got last time. And it actually was kind of, I remember the information we got from Steve the last time was kind of like encouraging. People were in for the most part.
Well, I mean, I'm just throwing it out there because it really is a dangerous stretch of road. I'm sure that other people that live along the road would agree. It's just insane how people do 50, 55, they race on both lanes, like going north, like it's a speedway. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention since we were talking about safety on roads.
Did you have something?
Well, I was just going to say, I've gone up through there for years, most of my life, and it's always been an area where people fly. I mean, you get past, I mean, if you drive up through there, it's not a Warren knows. It's like you can get past there 3 times a week on your way home. I mean, it's not like, it's not the first time, not the last time. I mean, it's gone on for years.
I was wondering if there's anything anybody could do about it, maybe not until somebody gets killed. Gets a car fought, teeth wound, or...
The problem is, Laura, is you can post 20 miles an hour, 25 miles an hour. You can post, well, you can't do less than 30 now. But if you have nobody sitting there enforcing it doesn't matter. I mean,
And we don't have any law enforcement stuff inside.
Those automatic or those digital speed limit signs are good to remind the person who isn't looking to drive like an idiot. I mean, I've had them go by my house 70, 80 miles an hour coming away from the sign that's, you know, they hit it headed north on Route 30, and all it does is get them juiced up to go faster.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, some of the results we got out of those signs from the 3 places they're at show that the norm is right in the range of the speed limit signs. So you're always going to have somebody that thinks that it's It's a racetrack.
So he's not on mute.
Okay. All right, let's move on to warrants. Go ahead, Katie.
I'd like to make a motion to pay the warrants. Number 1, payroll in the amount of $11,865.98. Number 2, payroll taxes in the amount of $4,738.37. Number 3, general fund in the amount of $20,441.44. Number 4, general in the amount of $15.99. Number 5, general, which is the school budget, in the amount of $633,151.53. Number 6, highway for $42.25. Number 7, highway for $13,677.85. Number 8, highway equipment in the amount of $13.15. Number 9, highway equipment in the amount of $5,765.87. Number 10, ARPA in the amount of $998.70 for a total of $690,711.13.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, do we have any further communication? Any input? Hearing none. All those in favor of paying the warrants for $690,711.13 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? 5-0. Okay. Steve, are you on?
Yes, am I unmuted?
Yep, go ahead.
I have reviewed the Bartlett tree proposal for this coming year. We discussed it at the last meeting, but I had not had a copy. I looked it over, and I'm in agreement. It's consistent with procedures that have been done in the past years. So I would urge the board to approve the proposal for the tree care on the common this coming July.
Okay. Why don't we cover that right now? What was the amount, Steve?
So the budgeted amount is $3,000, and this came in at about $2,900.
Okay. Entertain a motion to accept the Bartlett tree proposal for the common for the starting in July.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Rob?
Aye. Sorry.
Thank you. 5-0. Go ahead, Steve.
I'd like to talk about grading for a minute. In previous meetings, I've announced that grading is an ongoing process, which it has been up until 2 weeks ago when we had a stretch of 90-degree weather and somewhat of a drought, which caused the roads to be very, very dry. We cannot successfully grade roads when they're that dry because the sand and the gravel turns to powder. The traffic doesn't pack the road in. It becomes very dusty, and within a day or so is nothing but washboards. So we ceased grading when we hit that stretch of 90-degree weather and turned into ditching and culvert cleaning. But now, since we've had some rain, grading resumed yesterday on West Hill, today on Townshend Acres, but the weather looks spotty as far as rain goes for the rest of the week. We'll grade when we can. When we can't, we'll just continue with ditching and cleaning culverts. And actually, we're changing a culvert tomorrow on Shadow Lawn. Also, tree cutting. We took down about a dozen trees on the Grafton Road today. Some brown birches that were hanging over the Grafton Road, and as they continue to leaf out, and with the rain we're having, they've been hanging down kind of low, ready to break off into the road. So we did take 12 trees down today. And the gravel crushing, that was awarded to Hunter at the last meeting has been completed, and they're in the process of pulling their equipment out of the pit right now. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Steve?
Steve, I was wondering on the WW bill that we got the last time, what the pressure treated was for.
There's a residence on Simpson Brook Road where a cross culvert runs under Simpson Brook Road. It runs into another culvert that goes into the little house that Michael Charles owned, goes into another culvert that goes underneath the lawn, underneath the driveway, and dumps into Simpson Brook. During the Christmas flood, that culvert was plugged and was flooding the road. Anthony was sent up there with the backhoe to clean out the culvert, and I don't know who did, it wasn't the town, but someone put pressure-treated boards covering the hole between the town culvert and the landowner's culvert, because it was a drop of about 5 feet. And in an effort to clean out that culvert, he broke those boards, and I had to replace them.
Okay. Anything else for Steve? Okay. There was something that I had, but I forgot it. Yeah, I'll bring it up to you whenever it comes back. Okay, thank you, Steve.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, he said goodbye. All right, treasurer's report.
You want me to stay on, or you want me to go?
No, all set, thank you.
Right.
Good night. All right, treasurer's report, under the true fund balance in the account is $313,807. This is after the expenditures that were in the warrant and what we have dedicated to projects. So we have $313,807. I don't see Connie
She
the...
left before.
Okay. All right. The town clerk took in $939.10 with her things at the window. That was the clerk. I don't have anything to add. We'll move into the fire truck contract. Inside your packet is contract from DeSorcy, who is in Vermont business in St. Albans. And the majority of this I'm going to leave up to Glenn to tell you about, but that's where we're headed, is that contract. We've also got a addendum to the contract, so there's two there. And then there's what the lawyer had to say about the contract attached to that. And then we've got a funding model and something associated with it, but that needs a little more explaining, and we'll do that afterwards. So, go ahead, Glenn.
All right, so the fire truck committee, as you know, with your permission, you guys sent out the bid specs that we came up with. We only received the one bid back from DeSorcy. So we've looked over that, read through it, and the truck committee and all the members voted at our last business meeting last week, and everyone's in favor of moving forward with it, which we hope that you guys will as well. The one thing that did come up after we received the bids, there was a price increase through E1, who is the manufacturer of the truck, of 5%. And the dealer was able to get E1 to agree to hold the price because he had to bid out to us. So that price didn't jump on us before you guys had a chance to vote on it. So we're good there still with the price of, I believe, $627,242. The one thing that did come up after that was right now they're having a shortage on Cummins is having a problem producing all of the L9 engines, which was in our bid package. It's also the least expensive that is manufactured to put in those trucks. Unfortunately, it also goes in about every other medium-duty truck. So what they have done, or what the dealer had recommended for us to look at, was upgrading to the X12 Cummins engine, which they're not having a shortage of at the time. Bear in mind, this, I believe the lead time was like 720 or 730 days, so it's 2 years before this truck is expected to be completed. So we don't know what will happen as far as that goes. The one thing we are running into with the time frame is the new emissions come out for diesel engines in 2027. So the goal is to get the truck done before that happens. So the addendum is for that upgrade to the X12 engine package, which is $48,000 and
48,408.
thank you. And that is a significant increase. It is larger engine, larger transmission, front tires get wider, and the axles change at least minimally in weights. We've been assured that that does not change the overall height, which is obviously a huge concern of ours, because in the bid specs, if it doesn't fit the station, we're not going to accept it, because we have to be able to park it somewhere. So in that process of getting the prices for the engine upgrade, what that does, it's kind of like an insurance policy in a sense. What that does is we can go with that addendum now, and that change would carry in all the specs going forward. And we have an option, should the engine shortage would come and not be a problem when our truck is in line to be, when it's being manufactured, we would have the option to drop back. The E1 is telling their dealers that what will happen if they get to a point where the L9s are not being produced, they will stop production of those trucks and move the other trucks in line so they're not laying people off at their factories. So with that, and the association, it looks like, I haven't had a chance to really study these numbers, but it looks like at this point in time, if I'm reading this right, we're roughly 37,500 short. Am I reading this sheet correctly?
Yes. If the X12 goes forward, it means we'll be short $37,499.80.
Excuse me, so I don't know, let's see.
What was that number, I'm sorry?
$37,499.80.
Hey.
Yes.
So I don't know if this sheet has in the full 2 years or what would end up in the truck reserve fund when that came due or not. It looks like there's 2024, but I think we just voted on that last town meeting. 26 is the time frame for this truck actually being completed. But the association has also voted to assist financially if needed, so that we're not hopefully at the end of this, because that's basically the truck is paid for without increasing any taxes or taking any loans.
What's your personal feeling between the X12 and the L9 besides the 5 horsepower? I mean, what's, as far as an operating engine and that stuff?
Yeah, it's not a large gain in horsepower, it's only 5, but as you probably know, being around trucks, the torque is what does the work, and that's 500 foot-pounds.
But as far as like, is it, you know, an L9 is bulletproof and an X12 has had some problems, or vice versa, or any of that stuff?
They are supposed to, both of them have been around for quite some time. They both have good track records. The model that we spec'd, or the chassis and truck that they build them either way, and that's why this is an option because you can order them either way. Obviously, this was a bid, so yeah, we didn't spec it with the X12 in it, obviously because of money. You know, would it suit us better on hills around here? Absolutely. At the end of the day, the L9 will work, and it will get the truck out of the station and to the scene. Bless you.
Well, let me just go through these numbers on this page, unless you got another question about the engine.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. So, what we had in the fire department's reserve fund for apparatus was $297,099.37 as of the first of the month. The $20,000 won't come in until the next month, but the ARPA funds we have to dedicate to the project are $320,950.83. Then again, you add the $20,000 for the FY24 budget, that brings you to $638,050.20. And the apparatus cost, just the cost that we originally set up with was $627,242. That leaves in our favor $10,808.20. Now, there's one thing that we have the ability to do that may help this and not cause any more impact on the taxpayers, is direct the treasurer to close out the books that she would be doing in July, and whatever's in the fire department budget that hasn't been spent, to direct that fund into the reserve fund. I don't know what that number is at this point, but we've pretty much come in with a surplus, at least in that budget, every year. So it might help offset some of the shortfalls when you're putting in that X12 motor. Go ahead, Rob.
Do we need a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to go ahead with the addendum for the engine, with the idea that if they come out with the L9, that we go with the L9, but order up the truck with the X12 and have it not exceed $48,408 more than the original $627 and change.
Okay, we need a motion to sign the contract and buy the truck. The addendum is after that.
Okay.
Okay?
Well,
So moved that we enter an agreement with the Sourcey
yeah.
to purchase the truck at $627,242 with an addendum of $48,308, following suit with what Rob said.
Sherwood, could you have the person who's making the motion just say it one more time?
You want the full motion with how about this? Why don't we take, if we get rid of the motion that I just put, and we'll
Okay.
start over again.
Gone.
All right. I'd make a motion to approve the original contract with DeSorcy for the $627,000, 242, with the idea that it's coming in 2 years, and would piggyback it with the addendum of the engine being upgraded to an X12 instead of an L9, and not to exceed $48,408.
Second.
Is there any further conversation? Any input?
I mean, the only thing I wanted to note with that is some of the things that the lawyer suggested for us. I don't know if that's relevant for the motion, but there's just a few things that they looked at, like making sure that they changed delivery date, delivery location, as well as,
Well, see that one, that delivery location is not, it's a typo.
No,
So
no.
what's gonna happen is the company's gonna build the truck and then send it to DeSorcy.
totally, no, I get that.
But we also have the right to turn the truck away if it doesn't fit into the building.
As long as there's somebody there at delivery to inspect the
For
vehicle.
$627.
And there will probably liable to be several.
It'll happen before that.
Yeah,
Yes.
usually what happens in a lot of these things is they go down to the factory while it's being built.
Yeah.
Is there two of them? Was there 2 visits or 1? What did Garth say?
It's kind of however many you want.
Okay.
But they usually limit it, but usually you do, after the contract has been signed to move forward with the purchase, then there's another meeting with the committee to go over all the fine details.
Great.
If you want to change a light placement, any small stuff. And then it'll go back through engineering again. And then once all that passes, then it goes into the order actually makes it into the production queue. And then when it actually starts being built, generally they do it around halfway. But you can do it halfway, some do it halfway and again at the final. Some just do a final. That happens, it's really up between the receiving entity and how many times I want to go visit this thing while it's being built. Then, once it's actually built, then it goes from Ocala, Florida, up to St. Albans, Vermont. They put their finishing touches, they put new ladders on it, and there's a couple small details that's in the specs of what they actually finish up on. And then we can go and inspect it there or inspect it again on delivery.
Is there an ETA on that? I mean, do they give you a time when they expect it to be finished and up in St. Albans? Have they got any idea how long?
So the E1 portion there, I believe it's 720 or 730 days is the lead time from them. And then in the contract, I think I just saw, I want to say it's up to 900 days for them to finish what they've got to do and deliver it.
So that gets you still get it under the, what did you say, 2027?
Yes.
So that gets you under that, either way, right?
Well, if the
Barring
engine,
any more interruptions with supply chains and
Yeah.
workers and
that's the problem, Laura. If you don't get it going now, you might hit that 27 deadline and then everything's up in the air. So, Any questions from the rest of the board?
No, I'm satisfied.
Any questions?
Would we be better to go electric?
You want to push it? They had a video of a brand new electric fire engine in LA. They were all praising this electric fire engine. And when they tried to put it in the station, the batteries went dead and they had to push it in. Do you want to go electric?
Just was totally joking.
Is there any comment or any input from either one of you? All right, okay, good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I will abstain, just so the board knows I abstained in the votes from the pushing it through the fire department, and I do here. Are there any,
We just should get Rob's one, make sure you get.
no, he's got to abstain as well.
Oh, he does, okay.
Yeah,
Correct, I'm abstaining as a member of the volunteer fire department.
there you go. So it's 3, 0, and 2. Didn't you give me something about scoring a game like that one time?
I'll probably have.
Okay, we have to sign these things. We'll have to take this up as a separate motion to communicate with the treasurer to move those funds. And the last question I have is, do you want me to sign the contracts for the board? Any objections?
No.
Okay. Then we'll get that done and get them faxed up to the guy and mailed up to the guy, and we'll get it started. His name, Garth Brooks. He nowhere near Garth Brooks. This guy's 6'2", 3, 4, something like that. Big guy. Okay, let's, why don't we take this up while we're right here. This is a letter, it's in your package, it's directing the town treasurer to, once the books are closed out for FY 2023, to divert the funds that are left over only in the fire department budget to the reserve account. If we don't use them, if it comes in under the 627,000 mark, it'll be seed for the next thing that probably comes along after we're all gone. So, entertain a motion to direct the treasurer to do what I just said.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 There we go, 5-0. Let's see, is there anything else on the road name change while we're getting that signed? Where in the world is that foolish thing? Okay, here it is. Thank you. Oh, that isn't it.
Last one.
Last one, oh, second. We got 3 more things to do, and then we've got executive session after the fact. Okay. We've got a request here from Helen to change the name of Taft Hill. Says Trace. I don't know if that means, if it's meant to be terrace, but they would like the, is Helen on there? Can you see if you can get her on to figure out what this is, so we're saying it right?
Yeah, it is Taft Hill Trace.
Okay, and is that the road name, or is that somebody?
That's the road name. No, that's the road name.
And they want it changed to Brody Woodlands Road?
Yeah, he's the only person there's only one guy, Matthew Brody, that lives on that road.
Okay,
And I checked with the E911 coordinator in Montpelier, and he says that's fine.
Okay. Thanks, Helen. All right.
Sure.
Would entertain a motion to change the name of Taft Hill Trace to Brody Woodlands Road.
So moved.
Is there any questions, comments, concerns?
Yeah, we get into doing this, it's just gonna go on and on and on forever. Taft Hill was probably named after the Taft family. I mean, it's like every other road's named around here, so.
I think there's room to make adjustments like this. Of course, if it keeps happening, we'll use our discretion, I'm sure.
What would be the room? Why would you, what's the room?
The rules are what's allowed by the E911
not the rules.
group up in Montpelier.
I'm not worried about the rules. Rob said there's room to do this. What would be the room?
I think that, like Helen was just saying, the room is, we have discretion ultimately. As long as 911 is in agreement, this is not a problem. This guy's obviously passionate about it enough to get Helen involved. I think it's the least we can do to move maybe past some of the traditions.
I live on the only house on a road, and it's Greenwood Drive, or Greenwood Road. Do I change it to Wright Road?
Let's talk about it.
How about just leave it the way it is?
How have we decided these things in the past? Have we said?
Nobody's ever asked that I've ever heard.
Well, we named
No,
a road, we named Rattlesnake, whatever. Whether or not there's rattlesnakes on that road, I don't know. Don't really have an opinion either way, but I do wonder how we've dealt with it in the past.
I think since I've been on the board, we've actually named 2 roads. One,
Sugar Lot Lane,
yeah,
or
and,
Maple Sugar Lane, whatever it is.
I was here for that.
and,
Richie's little development in Rattlesnake Mountain,
yeah,
which the mountain that it leads up to is Rattlesnake Mountain.
Okay.
I see the question of the precedent of changing road names, particularly to include individuals' specific names who are living on the road. You know, when it comes to changing a road based on the discussion, what is people's interest? I would just be, I guess in some ways, interested in hearing a little bit more about it, because what is the precedent that we set if people want to start changing road names?
I agree, are they having trouble getting deliveries because it's being confused with another road, something
Right.
like that, I could see changing the name. But if it's just been that way and somebody just wants it to be named after them, that's a different thing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
sort of the question
Yeah.
of what is the purpose behind the name change?
I can go back and ask him if you'd like. I know that if it was another name now and he wanted to change it to Taft Hill Trace, that would not be allowed because we have a Taft Road. And apparently his mail is getting confused with Taft Road post office sometimes. I think that there is another road that in one of the neighboring towns that his mail is getting confused with also, but I can certainly ask him for the details if you'd like.
so this is fixing a potential problem.
It is. He wanted to name it originally Brody Forest Road. That wouldn't work because we have State Forest Road. There was one other one that wouldn't work, or Brody Hill Road, because we have East Hill Road and West Hill Road already. So Brody Woodlands Road is not an issue with the E911 board, but I can certainly ask him for more details if you'd like.
Well, what's the board want to do? Move forward or get more information?
I think it's safe to move forward on this kind of thing, considering that this individual's gone through the trouble. It obviously sounds like there is a reason for doing this. I think you guys are wise for considering why they do it. Yeah, I guess I'm ready to move forward if you guys are.
Okay. Is that calling for a vote?
Yeah, I would move to approve the change of Taft Hill Trace to Brody Woodlands Road.
Okay. thought we just did this. Didn't somebody already make that motion?
Oh, you proposed it, I moved it already, so I just double moved it.
Well, let's stop moving things around, I'm gonna get dizzy. Okay, all those in favor of changing Taft Hill Trace to Brody Woodlands Road signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Aye.
And is there abstain?
Aye.
Okay. It fails for the lack of a quorum.
Sure, I didn't see what your vote was. Your vote.
Oh, yes,
Yes, okay.
May I ask a question about that?
certainly.
How does that affect like GPS or maps? I mean, I know most people don't have paper maps. Some people do.
It's a
How would that
GIS.
affect it?
GIS, the government mapping service, will just change it. That's why there's a catch as to how many times you can name something like names. They want to be able to make sure they're sending things to the right place. And the 911 coordinator for the state, and I think Helen's for the town. So they have to follow those naming regulations. You probably remember the Brook thing that we had that went on for 2 or 3 years. That one went up to the federal government before it was actually changed. So some of these take a long time to get done. This one's relatively simple.
And the more I think of it, if you go around to any one of these towns, there's multiple roads that are all named the same road, whether it's a last name, East Hill, West Hill, South Hill. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on.
You're right.
So it's like, I mean, if you want to take and look into that part, look into it.
Okay.
This River Road.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Brook
there's
Street.
River Road all the way up any one of these rivers.
Helen, if you can, go ahead and see what we can get from him, and we'll bring it up next time, see where it goes.
Sure,
Okay,
I will do that.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Helen.
Sure.
All right. We have now the yearly authorization for the constable to pick up dogs that are not registered. There's quite a list. This is also gives him the authority to put them down in certain situations, but I don't know of a time that that's happened. Do you?
Not in today's world.
No. So it gives him the authority to do it if it's absolutely necessary, and this is something we sign off on every year. So I'd entertain a motion to sign the authority of the constable to deal with the dogs that are on the registration list. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I have a question.
Hang on one second. We need a second just to get into discussion. You can ultimately abstain.
If you don't
Yeah,
want
no,
to,
we can
if you
talk about
don't
it.
want to pass the motion, you still
No, I get
second
it.
the motion,
Yeah,
and then
I
you
got it.
don't
I'll
go,
second it.
you don't vote yes or no, or you
Yeah.
vote no, or whatever.
Abstain or whatever, yeah. Okay, shoot.
So these are dogs, you only have the ability to pick up dogs that are running out in the public loose. You can't like go on someone's property and take their dog, right?
There's definitely steps. It has happened in the past. It's not easy. And
For what reason?
Misabuse, malnutrition,
Oh,
fed,
yeah,
rebellion,
Okay.
basically cruelty.
Yeah, humane reasons.
The list that the town clerk provides the constables with is basically all of those who have not registered their dogs for the year. And they give them quite a bit of time to come forth and register their dogs and get them licensed. And when they don't, we will call certain people, check in. Maybe the dog is deceased and it's no longer in the family, so that's a typical reason. Some people forget. When it comes down to it for us and people's dogs, if you register it and get it licensed, we can see the vaccinations, whether it's rabies. And then if by chance the dog's lost with a collar, somebody finds it's got a number, it's a quick, social media helps a lot, but the numbers are fine. And then if somebody's dog bites somebody and they have it registered and licensed, we can look at the vaccination and save the poor human going through
Yes.
painful vaccination for unknown rabies. Yeah, but we still contract, I believe, to let us house strays, or if I have a kennel problem, I have done it in the past, we'll transport them directly to the Windham County Humane Society, and then they're evaluated by a vet, depending on the circumstances, of course, or if it's just a lost dog or nobody can claim it or whatever. It saves me stuffing it in my shed or somebody's basement or whatever. It's a nicer place down there, fed, water, heat, plenty of company. Yeah. So that's typical of it. We have had some in the past. Actually, we had the unfortunate circumstance where one dog did have to be euthanized after the owner left it for about 2 months unattended in an apartment, and then power was shut off. Nobody knew it, and the dog had been bred and used for fighting. And we tried. It took a long time to get it into the crate without us getting harmed, and then transported. And in that case, there was no rehabilitation, so unfortunately. And at that point, the constable services and the money that is still in our account for pound keeping or whatever, I think we paid the fee, or they might have waived it. I can't have to look, but that's kind of what that's for.
Okay.
Those are rare.
So if it's not a problem, if the dogs aren't registered and they're not causing a problem and they're not running around loose and they've been taken care of, then there's no really reason for you to.
I will contact people if they've been on the list and because they've asked me to, otherwise, I just turn a blind eye and forget it. Well, am I gonna chase people? Am I gonna go after people that I know have dogs that probably aren't licensed or registered yet? That's not what I do. I mean, I hold a full-time job for myself, plus volunteers, fire department, so 2 kids, so yeah. If they become a problem, then Mike and I usually deal with them, and we've had fairly good success, so, or so I feel.
A lot of times in the past, Clerk Teets makes a lot of telephone calls just to get them off of the list. So, okay, so the question is, unless you have any questions, or you have any questions?
I don't think I have any questions.
Okay. So the question is, do we sign off and give the constable the authority to pick these animals up and deal with them?
Through the process, we talked about, yeah.
Yeah.
Did we get a second?
Yeah, I second. Yeah, we already did that, but we haven't.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Phoebe, if you'd like to be entertained in the statutes of the state of Vermont, when it comes to any animal, no, there is a huge significance of gray.
Oh, I'm
It is
sure.
so
I didn't hear him.
poorly written without it almost becoming to the point where the owner killing their dog, we basically can't touch it.
Yeah, no, I totally.
And it's a misfortune, and it happens, it's not just dogs, it's other animals. And this state, read the big book of Wolf from the state that they produce with their statutes. I've referenced it multiple times on cases, and it's hard. And you know what's happening, but I can't, my hands are tied.
I was mostly curious on the procedure of like, the town gets this list, what goes next? Like, what is the process for, because again, like, people don't register their dogs for all sorts of reasons. Many of the times it's just simply like the task didn't get done.
And we try to reiterate to them that we're not looking for the money. In some ways, it's more of a registering fact for the humans that might get bit or your dog gets lost. It's gonna help me find your dog.
Right.
Or somebody else find your dog, if it comes to it. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, definitely. Yep.
Cool.
Did we get Rob's vote?
Rob, did you want to submit your vote? He abstains.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I abstain. I know, close with people on that list.
Okay. All right, motion carried 4-0.
Hey, help me out with some phone calls then.
Right? I know, I'm like, oh, a lot of people.
Now, this is going on a signing tour. And while we do that, Ally Dracoli would like to use the Common on August 12th, 2023 for her pickle festival, I guess. This is something they did last year, was the people seem to have a good time with it. I don't see the insurance statement.
There was one.
Is this a part of the hospital fair?
No. The hospital is breaking down and she wants to set up while they're breaking down. That's all.
I see, got it.
Well, we can do this one of two ways. We can sign off on it tonight and move it forward with the condition that we get the insurance certificate, or we can put it on hold and, as Rob says, kick it down the road a little bit. What would you like to do?
I'd make a motion to allow Ally to put on the pickle festival, and if she can coordinate with Grace Cottage about when they're tearing down and she can set up, that would be great.
Okay. And fees?
I would revert back to what we did last year. So if she paid last year, pay, and if she didn't, don't.
No. She didn't.
We'll second that.
Okay. Any further discussion?
What about the insurance? Is that part of the thing?
Yeah, she's gonna have to give us insurance. That's, everybody has to do that in order to get that.
And she provided that last year, so I'm sure she'll have it.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
One abstention, I'll be working at Pickle Day. I hope everybody comes.
That's the word from you on everything lately. What's going on?
That's three, yeah, that's quite a bit.
Okay, thank you. So, 4-0-1. Okay, that one's approved. And I think we're at the bottom of it, other than our executive session. I hope that it's not gonna be too long. And we'll adjourn. There won't be a report out of this.
Rob's online, so I'll stay. We can communicate.
But we can have them call into her too. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Are you finishing your general meeting, going into executive, and then
Yeah.
not coming out for anything else?
No,
Other than to go home?
pretty much.
Two things that I might have missed it, and maybe it's none of my business, and maybe it doesn't pertain to me. Windham County Sheriff's invoice decision regarding paying old business?
Oh, it shouldn't have been on there. It's going into law enforcement exception.
Okay, so that has to do with that, okay. The next piece I have, I guess, is in regards to an ongoing complaint that we've been working with.
Mhm.
And I think most everybody on the board is aware of that.
Oh, it's a topic for the executive session.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
So,
That's
one of
an
them.
executive session.
Do you have input with that, Warren?
I do.
Stay through that?
Well, I'd like to figure out which direction it is I'm supposed to move.
Okay. Why don't you stay, just note in there that we're inviting Warren to stay, and we'll get that taken care of. So, a motion, I'd entertain a motion to move into executive session. For the first issue is personnel under 313 VSA Section B, and the second one is a legal issue that I don't have the side of the section. So,
Someone.
is there, okay, moved and seconded. Second, what a word. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.